Hey there, and welcome to Undoing We, Divorce and Life Conversations on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, podcast, and TV. I'm your host, Mardi Winder-Adam. I'm a divorce coach, a mediator, and someone who's been through exactly what you're going through. This show is all about helping you get through the tough stuff, the overwhelm of divorce, the what now moments, and the messiness of trying to rebuild your life. We're going to talk about real life challenges, share expert advice, and give you practical tools you can use to move forward with your life. Are you ready to start shifting from we to me? Grab a coffee, sit back, and let's get started. When you're going through divorce, it can seem like the world is closing in on you, and I completely understand that. But divorce is also a time when maybe you can expand your world and start looking at maybe getting into some things that you didn't have the time for, or, your partner wasn't terribly supportive of you doing them. And now that you're in the divorce or through the divorce, you have the ability to really strike out on your own and maybe do some things that you have always wanted to do. And one of those things for a lot of women and men is to start their own business. Now, whether this is a side hustle business or whether this is a business where you're actually wanting to create this passion project, or you have a very specific goal, what you want to do, any and all of those things can apply. And starting a business can be really empowering. It's exciting. You get to learn a whole bunch of new stuff if you've never done it before, or maybe you get to just hone your skills if you've already been an entrepreneur in the past. But one of the things that we shouldn't do, just because we've been through a divorce, is to play it small. So I thought one of the best ways to talk about this subject and to maybe get you thinking about, is being an entrepreneur and a business owner something you're interested in, is to actually talk to somebody who's got a lot of experience in this field. So I'd like to share with you a bit of an interview I did with Wendy Vaughan. She is a business coach with over 29 years of business development experience. She made her first million by the age of 30 as an entrepreneur, and she's helped others to generate over $14.8 million in revenue. And boy, wouldn't you like to have a chunk of that. Wendy is really passionate about helping heart-centered experts make the biggest impact they can and build a business they love and do it correctly the first time. Because if you have ever been an entrepreneur or you've dabbled in the idea of becoming an entrepreneur, you know that there are a lot of shiny objects out there, and there are a lot of people trying to get you to buy their program, their mastermind, their business package, their whatever. And there are some excellent people out there, but there's also some situations where having a coach that understands your unique perspective and the way that you want to present your ideas to the world is going to help you distinguish your business and distinguish yourself from the competition out there. So Wendy is going to talk to us all about the idea of starting a business post-divorce, and she's going to share with us about how to think about the business, how to think about what we want to do, and most importantly, how we need to think about this as part of who we are moving forward to create that really cohesive message and that business that you're going to wake up every morning and go, I can't wait to get to work. So let's listen into my conversation with Wendy Vaughan. She's going to share her expertise as a business coach, and then we'll have a little chat about things after the clip is over. This whole idea of moving through a divorce and doing something, a big change in a career, or moving from corporate to private, or even going through the divorce and realizing your side hustle now needs to become your primary income. And maybe it's something you love and you've been doing a great job of, but now all of a sudden it's not just a nice little side thing for some extra money for vacation. It's something that's really got to happen. So can you talk a little bit, maybe, Wendy, about some of the issues that you see clients come in and that you're able to turn things around for them, some of their big challenges and concerns?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that state of being in a transition. brings out that feeling of vulnerability, right? And then we start second guessing ourselves. Whereas when things were just cruising along, it's like, oh yeah, I could do that. No problem. Oh, that, I do that better, faster, higher. I could do that. It's always easier to see and feel that kind of confidence that maybe, you're doing with a side hustle or contemplating starting a business, while being in this more, I would say, predictable environment, and then going through a big transition in life. There's a lot of mental stuff that starts happening that creates a confusion, right? And second guessing ourselves. I went through a divorce myself, and so I can fully relate to that. Wait a second, I thought this was my life and reality, and it just went all south to heck in a handbasket. So maybe I don't know myself all that well. Maybe I don't, whatever, those self-doubts. So what I would like to do is just maybe provide your listeners with some clarity on how to cut through the mental self-sabotage, right, that can cloud an opportunity and can lower our sense of self-worth.
I think that would be fantastic. Yeah.
These are the two important things: self-worth and just being able to discern, do I have something that is worthy of going for, of turning into a bigger focus, of like putting, all right, increasing, turning up the volume on my time, effort, energy, money, whatever? Or is it still one of those kind of, So one of the things that is extremely important is to, first off, create a calm container. What does that look like? Whether that's take a hike up in the mountains with a notebook, sit at the beach. I live here in Hawaii, and so it's beach is my office. When I'm not here talking with people like you, Marty, that's my office out there. That or on our boat. But finding that space, even if it's just a den or someplace in your house, create a space where there's just this calm, this sense of just getting in touch with yourself. And start journaling in terms of, what are the things that I'm good at doing? What are the things that I just, people say, oh, you're so good at that. Oh, yeah, you make that look so easy. And don't judge, right? Don't judge at all. Then make another list of things that you love doing. I just love it when. I just love to, and you would do it without even thinking twice if somebody asked you. And then think about, what is it that other people struggle with, either as a challenge, or they can't do it, or they don't know how, or what you can do and love to do supports them to achieve more of. And, granted, this could be a service, a traditional service, type business. This could be something along more of the lines of the personal or professional development space. A lot of people that go through hardships in life become experts at making it through.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So now they have that perspective and knowledge to support a lot of other people make it through that pathway. So that's the first thing, is to just get clear on what I love to do, what I'm good at, and what do other people seriously struggle with that I could support them with. And you might have already done this, right, if you've got a side hustle. But sometimes we need to redefine this and not say, oh, yeah, I already did this. Because you need to take a fresh look, right, at what it is that you can now see a bigger value in the work and the, expertise that you have. So once you have those, those three lists, then you think of, okay, because this is really the most important part, is people try to sell or offer what they have to everybody, right? Everybody. And the problem with that is that not everybody values what you do as much as somebody else.
Right.
Like, for instance, I'm a perfect example of like a makeup type person, right? Maybe a little lipstick and that's it. So if somebody approached me and said, Wendy, I can make you, I can show you how to do a makeover for $2,000. I'm like, forget it.
Yeah.
I have no interest in that.
Right.
No, well, geez, you could, just look so much better. I'm like, I look good enough, because I value that. Whereas if I were a movie star or an influencer that, or a model, where now it's linked to my value of income,
Mm-hmm.
direct correlation between makeup and looking, I don't even want to use the words because then it makes me look, like I'm I'm attacking myself, making me look great. In other words, what I'm saying is I don't look great, but making me look even better.
Yes, that's the way to
has a direct correlation with now what I value.
Right.
Not just out there, but it's like, if I value wanting to land a job as a model, and now that's my priority, and somebody said, if you had more professional makeup, you could land that job. How much is it? $2,000. I'm in.
Right. Right.
So the message that I'm trying to communicate here, which is so important, is that present what your gift is to a specific audience who values the outcomes.
Yes.
The most. Because if I'm a parenting coach and I try to sell my parenting coaching to homeschool parents who have all day with their kids, they might not value that as much as, say, a busy corporate executive who is going through a divorce and finds herself just getting triggered and realizing the short amount of time that she has with her kids is regrets, is living in regrets when she thinks about how she showed up.
Right. I think
So
this is, and you've just given, like, really, again, just a really clear example of why this is so important, because I see so many women that have great business ideas or that have great potential businesses, and they're just not getting any traction. But yet they're marketing, to everybody under the sun. And I think this is where so many, when they talk about that, what is that? 50% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's a higher percentage than that.
Okay, maybe it is, and I'm just, but I know it's overwhelming. More fail than go on and be successful.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Yeah. So, and that's typically why. It's because nobody wants what I'm selling.
Right.
I can't get clients.
Right.
But the blind spot is you are not talking to the people that already value what you do, and so then it when you don't do that, when you don't identify who does it really values the outcomes of what you do, the downside is, first off, you get very few people interested. You start doubting yourself.
Right.
And you're already in a situation here where there's a lot of self-doubts if you've just been through a divorce or in a divorce and that transition. And thirdly, you think, it's just, I'm charging too much. So let me charge less. Maybe I should just charge $100. And then it's just like, oh my gosh. Now
and then
you're
you
just
start resenting it. Yeah. You really do. Yeah. It's and I've seen sort of that race to the bottom with the pricing with people who had amazing products. But like you said, they didn't identify who was sort of their target market. And then they were selling to everybody. And then they were decreasing the prices. And then even when they dropped the prices, nobody was buying it. Then they really started doubting themselves.
Well, it's actually, Marty, it's actually harder to sell when you start dropping the prices, because then people don't value what you're doing, what you're offering. And then with AI and all the kind of information at our fingertips, well, those kinds of people in that price point, well, they're the wing it yourselfers. I'm going to wing it. I'm going to wing it. I'm just going to try to put this together with duct tape. I'll just research it. I'll just have ChatGPT figure it out with me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And so then it becomes even harder to sell it the lower you go. Instead, when you look at, okay, this is what I love to do, and this is what I have some brilliance around this. Like if you're in a corporate world and you can see, with X-ray vision, why somebody's not getting promoted. And that you could help them get promoted. Or let's say, there are just so many areas within the corporate structure where, having been on the inside, how things work. And you can support somebody else to make it through whatever the barrier is. And so when you identify, that's a place where I could really help somebody, I could really make a difference. Well, then it simply comes down to who values most my expertise.
Right.
So one of my clients currently is working with, she calls them individual contributors. I call them worker bees in the corporate world. She calls them individual contributors, Wendy. I'm like, okay, they're worker bees. Individual contributors, worker bees. And so those kinds of people, they don't have as much stake. She's helping them to get promoted. A promotion for a worker bee into middle management is not that big of a bump in salary. It's a transformation. It's now they're a manager instead of a individual contributor. She could use the same skill set, though, to help a middle management person land a director role.
Right.
And so now that becomes a higher perceived value by that individual, because in middle management, that's a awful role to be in terms of the pressure, the stress, the responsibilities. You've got to motivate, you've got to deal with the KPI, you've got to make everything work.
Right.
So the point I'm trying to make is, even within a smaller scope, it still is important to see who values what I do the most.
Right. Right. I told you that Wendy was a powerhouse of information, all about how to really do business the right way, coming from a place of where you want to be. So I'd like to just go over a few of the key points that Wendy and I talked about, because I think they really are worth focusing on, particularly if you have a project in mind that you're already feeling really excited about. Or maybe you've got an idea that's just flitting around in your head and you're not really sure if it's what you want to do or not. So the first one that Wendy talked about was to really embrace the vulnerability and the state of transition. So that's not only the transition in moving from maybe a corporate job to an entrepreneur, or maybe adding a part-time side hustle, as they call them, or whatever it may be. It's also accepting that the whole divorce is going to be a transition point. So this is not something that you want to rush through, but it's also something that maybe it's been sitting there inside you and you've just been putting it to the side and saying, oh, I'll do this a little bit later, or I'll do this when I've got more time. Maybe this is the universe telling you you have enough time now. The next thing that Wendy talked about that I've never heard anybody really talk about when it comes to what you want to do and how to strategically plan your business, and that is creating that idea of a calm container. And I just love that because we do that with our personal life, right? Most of us do some kind of meditative or mindfulness practice, whether we call it that or whether it's just we like to go outside and watch the sunrise and just be peaceful. We don't have to have a name for it. It can just be your me time, where you're just regenerating and kind of just getting into that space where you're really open to considering new options and thinking about new things. So I love this whole idea of this calm container where when you're thinking about a business where it is free from judgment, but it allows you to really self-reflect and think, is this what I really want to do? Because I have got so excited about ways to expand my business or things I want to add to my business or something I want to do different in my coaching practice. And then when I've actually sat down and started to do the nitty gritty part of it and really thinking about how much time is this going to take me and what direction is this going to take me, it's been kind of like, I don't think I want to do this. And so I think by doing this whole idea of really looking for what you're naturally good at, what you love to do, and understanding what you're going to be able to help people do. So what problem do you solve for people is going to be so helpful, and it's going to save you a lot of time and money in the process. And let's face it, for most of us, business, we have to give ourselves time to build a business. This isn't just going to happen overnight. Some people it does. They have this magic product or this really good idea and it takes off. But for most people, it's kind of a long haul to get to the point where you've got steady income, your business is running like a well-oiled machine. It's going to take time. So the other thing that Wendy brings up along with this is this very thing. Don't try to sell to everyone. And I wish somebody had told me that because not with my coaching business, because I was very, very clear on what I wanted to do with that. But when I first got into coaching, when I did the executive and leadership coaching, I was, I would coach anybody, anywhere, at any time. And the problem is you don't build up credibility, authority. You don't become a true professional and expert if you're trying to do everything for everyone. So get really clear on who you want to serve, whether you call it your ideal customer, your avatar, your target market, it doesn't matter. But the people that you want to serve have also got to be the people that value the service or the product that you're offering. And don't overlook that. If you want to sell, I'm just going to make this is going to sound kind of silly, but if you want to sell roller skates, probably selling to 65 plus seniors is not your best market. You want to target your market to your younger audience. So everything's got to match and everything's got to mesh. The fourth point that Wendy brought up was making sure that you offer something that is truly of value rather than setting a price and then discounting. Have you ever seen those emails that come across? I'm sure you've seen these that come across your screen. This week only, regular price, $5,000. This week only $97. How many of those have they ever sold at $5,000? So because the value isn't there to support that $5,000. So when you create value, you will find the people that want to use your services or buy your products. So I like what Wendy says, you can make things a lot tougher because if you keep discounting, people start looking at you and going, wow, when do you ever sell it at full price? Or, nothing is of value. If we're ready to drop the price at the drop of a hat, probably not a lot of value. And then I think the last thing that I think that Wendy really highlighted was that this whole transition is a time that's going to be difficult. It's going to be tough. You may not want to make huge decisions, but that doesn't mean you can't start planning and thinking about what you want to do. And when you focus on your strengths, on your passions, and what the value is that you're going to bring to your audience, you are going to create that wonderful community. And it's going to take time. It's going to be work, but you have the foundation for a great business. And I'm going to encourage you, if you are thinking about doing a business, whether you've done it before or whether this is a first time, reach out, talk to Wendy. She really does have some excellent resources. She's got her podcast. She's got a whole bunch of things out there. I'm going to make sure all of that is in the show notes for you. But please take advantage of the experts that are out there, because it saves you a ton of time and a ton of money in the long run. Thanks for sharing your time with me on Undoing We. If this episode resonated with you, be sure to share it with a friend, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you're looking for some more support, be sure to grab my guide, 5 Strategies for Better Communication During Divorce and Other Life Transitions. The link is going to be in the show notes. And remember, no matter what you do today, do something special for yourself, because you deserve it.